So today's webinar will be about finding your research topic and where does it come from. I'm Dr. Andreas Meissner, a co-founder of the Doctorate Hub and also a mentor, amongst others. And we hope that generally the learning outcomes today is to gain a better understanding about where research topics come from and originate. And more specifically, that you will understand where a research topic comes from and what working over the identification of research and literature gaps could look like. I mean, the literature gap is something mysterious often. So what does it imply? What is the price to pay for the choice and freedom of selecting your own research problem? I'm not sure you ever considered that from this perspective, but choice comes at a price, and freedom perhaps is not always something that makes the way through the doctorate easier. And for you to raise the awareness why you yourself could be a barrier in advancing towards your research topic, and to get an overview of the various factors that the research topic decides. And as said, we will then go off record and provide you with the time to ask some questions and to reflect on the content of today's webinar. And if you afterwards would need to see that you would want to train that a bit further, we have a course dedicated just to issue identification problematizing in research question framing. It's free for self-study. All materials are also freely available, so just go ahead. If you need it tutored or want some discussion, also that can be arranged, fully tutored or within the clubs. And we also offer workshops, either one-on-one, which can be booked at any time, or on Saturday, March 11th, a half-day workshop on exactly proposal crafting, and another one, 8th of April, on identifying research gaps. With this, where do research topics come from? How do you find your research topics, and what is a starting point? In which direction should you look? And if you see there, the analogy between kids and scientists are considerable. Yeah, there are certainly differences if you use this type of instrument, but in most cases you want to see something better, you want to understand perhaps something better, at least as a scientist you would want to, but also kids usually like to tinker and explore. So there are several things that a scientist and a kid has in common. And if you think about it, focused search, working over observation and using a tool to support them. So those are the core things that a scientist is doing. And the focused search is motivated usually by something. Now, there are, on the other hand, certainly also differences, what sets them apart. A child could search for anything. It could search in any direction, and it could turn the telescope the other way around, right? That's what kids do. They tinker, they play, they want to find out. On the other hand, a scientist, there are only so many things that fit under this microscope, right? You wouldn't get something in that is very large. That's not what the Microsoft made for. And there's a set of 7 test tubes from which to choose. So nothing else that you could be doing. And the microscope is part of a given laboratory, which has a purpose, a mission, and a policy. It's well defined, everything. That's the beauty of engaging in science. Once you're in the exact sciences, it's everything very well defined. Now, can you tell into which of the doctoral research students' box you would fit best in your journey? Now, if you're a scientist, then it's all new again. It's like you were young. You're driven by tinkering, you're working over your imagination and visioning the way ahead. So those are all great things. So this is, to a large extent, a box that seems to fit much better to any doctoral research student, and in particular in the social sciences, where you have the freedom to choose your own topic, to develop it. Yeah, it's a new world. You can imagine, you can tinker, you can envisioning, you want to find out something. You are driven by ideas. That's all great. So, is that something that you would consider as a doctoral research student in the social sciences? That actually, as a matter of fact, you have much more in common with tinkering at a kid's and child's level than a scientist in the natural science who is bound just by the instruments and boundaries around them. Yeah, there are only so many things they can be doing. Now, if you take that analogy further, then once you went to school, there had been lessons plans, there had been guidance, there had been boundaries, and there had been teacher and parents that would walk you through. You wouldn't be alone, right? You would be in Form 3, and Form 3 has math on Monday morning, and at that class you would learn A, B, or C. This would be the level of support in school. But how about the guidance, structures, and boundaries that doctoral research students, and again, in particular in the social sciences, have at hand? So this is quite different, and as initially said, choice comes at a price. And I think one needs to be very well aware about that once choosing a research topic or developing a research topic, that as more as I'm driven by imagination and freedom and choice, as less well-structured the research will start out. So again, can you tell where the research topic comes from? And are there any questions up to this point? No, okay.
Nothing, Chair.
Okay. So after choice and freedom, now we do know that research and literature gaps is where a research problem usually starts from, and this is what a research student is expected to do. Look into the literature, find a research or literature gap. Now, unfortunately, also those two terms are rather mysterious and not so well defined, because as a matter of fact, what is it? What is a literature gap? Ever thought about? It's a part that's not covered in the literature. So why is it not covered in the literature? Because there have not research been taken out in that area? Very unlikely in a very well-defined world. If you think about, to most supervisors, it's pretty obvious what your research is trying to achieve. There's only a tiny, tiny puzzle part that perhaps at the end of the day is still unknown, and it's still unclear what that puzzle part looks like at the start of your research, right? So how do you, as a novice research student, then are expected to judge what would be a gap in the literature? What you will be quite able to do is understand what are your own knowledge gaps, what you do not know, and what you do know. So what you do know and understand, those are the things you can be working over. But again, how is that leading you to a research topic? And in addition to that, you can't read all of the literature, right? It's just too fast. It's impossible. It's like the Holy Grail. Looking for a literature gap is very challenging for research novices. Now, the question then is perhaps how to be most efficient in finding that supposed literature or research gap. After several weeks or months, you come back with lots of knowledge, but what had been relevant? This is very tricky because you're told often by a supervisor, go and read, right? And so you're doing, and you read. and you read. And there's no end in the reading. But will that be relevant, what you read? It's not that you should not read. The question is perhaps more how to be most efficient at moving from reading to the topic. So there's a technique, and we will come to that now, that could be applied. So the price to pay for choice and freedom. I do have kids, and following the analogy, it's a bit, if I would give my kids the choice and freedom to do what they want to do, then this is what I would get, right? This is my day if I let them go off the hook too much. And if you give a doctoral research students the choice and freedom to do what they want, then this is what you get. You get ideas, aiming for great solutions and hunting for opportunities. None of the three should, as a matter of fact, be part of a scientific study. Yeah, a senior scientist would presumably not be driven by ideas, solutions, and opportunities. This is just the areas at the broader periphery where you operate, right? You want solutions, that's clear. Based on earlier research, you will get some ideas, but they originate from earlier research. And obviously, you try to size opportunities. There's that grant available, so you will tweak slightly how you conduct your research or how you pitch it, because you want that research grant. That's what senior scientists do all day, right? So it's not that those three things, ideas, solutions, and opportunities, do not play a role once you are a scientist, but it's not how you get to your research topic. And if you look at that, choosing an interesting research topic is your first challenge. Here are some tips. Choose a topic that you are interested in, right? Those are good intended guides, but they work over the wrong triggers. A research student usually picks on the interesting, and this is not really what is meant with this type of advice. So it's not getting easier for you to get into your research topic. As we said, if you work in labs, then this is what you get. And there are only so many things that you can do with this tool. Yeah? It's very, very straightforward to get into your research topic. So what are the tools that you will get to choose your research topic? Have you thought about that? What are your lesson plans, guidance, boundaries, or teachers and parents that would walk you through? How do you get this type of support? And why you yourself could be a barrier in advancing your research topic. Factors that often play a crucial role in the selection is exactly your motivations, your interests, your quest to gain knowledge, the opportunities and the needs that you have. And this is driving your research. And it's driving a lot of times the research into the wrong direction. Because this is not what research is meant to be about. Factors that makes it often difficult for you to find a suitable research topic are, spoiler alert, the very same. So, how do you then finally become to it, craft a research topic? You should do it perhaps through the research problem, because this is what research is all about. This is what scientists are doing day in, day out, be it quantitative or qualitative. If you're quantitative, you want to falsify perhaps something. Yeah, if you're qualitative, you want to understand, but you always will work over some sort of research problem. And as you can see here, and that's actually a source taken from Stanford University, the major components of the thesis research proposal are as follows. A detailed statement of the problem that is to be studied. It's not to be solved, it's to be studied. And the context within which it is to be seen. This should include a justification of the importance of the problem. So why bother? Why do you need to look at that? Yeah, and only then, at point 2, it comes. a thorough review of the literature pertinent to the research problem, right? Important, pertinent to the research problem. So you do not read broadly. You read very focused and targeted, and connect that to what is the purpose of the reading. Yeah, this review should provide proof that the relevant literature in this field has been thoroughly researched. Good research is cumulative. It builds on the thoughts, findings, and mistakes of others. So you're not working over solutions that are put forward in the literature, but you look into the studies, what has not been understood by others about the research problem that you are going to study, and therefore what you need to be looking at. I think if you go to this source down at Stanford and just take this part, this is a good guidance that you can get. Are there any questions to this point before we come to the next section? Okay.
Nothing in the chat.
Nothing in the chat. Good. Then what are the various factors that decide the research topic? Now again, can you tell where the research topic comes from? Let's give it a try. Starting over clear and concrete questions. In this case, if you look at the right images, why is this road damaged? Then map out the knowledge that you already hold. Only the left lane is damaged, but not the right one. So what is the difference? Why is the left? Is it because that's the forest side, it's a hillside, it's the north side? Or is it because into that direction you have more heavy traffic? Or had the pavement be exchanged on that side, but badly exchanged? So what are the reasons and what knowledge do you hold? Yeah. So those are assumptions you can start with and factors to be looking at. You can write them down very concretely. You do not need to speculate. All of the evidence that you see in this picture can provide you with a clear and clean starting point into your research. There's no idea, no imagination, no excitement that you need at this point in time. And I do understand that this is a barrier, right? You want to be excited. It's new. You start your research. It's new. You're on the greatness to become a doctoral. Why? Why should you not be excited by that? So, but you do not need to. The picture there has all the ingredients you need. And after you studied it and wrote down what you see in that picture, you can talk to others. Perhaps they see something that you don't see, and you can present them with the knowledge that you hold and that you wrote down. Here, I see north side, I see hill, I see that. Yeah. And only then, we are now at step 3 already. Only then you go and consult with the literature. And once you are doing that, at this point, you can read very targeted, right? Very, very targeted. You have your paper. On that paper, you took down the notes. You have your keyword: hills, north side, forest, heavy traffic, replacement, bed replacement. So you can go by the checklist, work that through, and at the end of a day or two, you will hold much more knowledge with which you could go back either to that image or to further images or to other roads and study that further, right? That's a very structured way forward. Any questions on the road? So, okay, thanks, Jack. Now, some factors will be obvious given while others are not. Now, this situation at the right raises some obvious research questions from where a topic could be derived. Why did the car crash? How did the crash happen? What was the driver doing when the crash happened? What does the computer log file tell us about the moment the crash happened? Have there been similar crashes in the past? Those are good entry questions into a research topic. If you can put a checkbox and provide a precise answer to any of those questions that come up, perhaps that's nothing to be further investigated, right? If there's something that you do not understand in that situation, there we go, a potential research topic that you can further explore. And again, you will see nowhere the words we, my. Yeah, it's not about you. It's not about your interest. This is research. It works about what you do not understand, what others do not understand, what is not understood generally speaking, and what is not explained in the literature. Shucks, Jamilo, may I mute you? Good. Oops, I think I went back. No. So what is the object of analysis? If the road is damaged, then it is damaged. That is a problem as in broken. So it's really something that's not as it should be. And again, so you could look into what is known about the situation, who or what has or is involved in what is happening, how things have been happening, what is the literature telling us about the situation, and what remains unclear. So it's the same structure, the same checklist you can be working by. Checklist, right? Structured way of work, which will bring you into your research topic very quickly. And then you might settle on, okay, what is here not understood? And you can frame further the way you would try to increase your understanding, what you would want to look at for which purpose. And that then will bring you automatically also to the type of study that your research should be undertaking. Should it be quantitative, qualitative, comparative? Yeah. So it's again a very structured way, which doesn't ask you, what do you want to do? Which type of research do you want to do, Andreas? I consider to run a focus group, and qualitative research, I think, fits good to me. Okay. Yeah, because I think that's interesting. Okay. But why should you be doing that? Yeah, no, I still do not know that. Yeah, a lot of times students start working from this side, which obviously then is not a clear entry into a research topic. So tease out the existing knowledge. Try to be as precise and use the tools you have at hand. Yeah, your analytics. Start with that. And this then will allow you to formulate a first research question, even if it's a couple of research questions of what you do not understand in this situation that you are looking at. Yeah, so it's a very structured way that then allows you to try answering some of those questions and deepening others that you cannot answer. And then at one point you can see, okay, on which should you settle to develop the knowledge that you think you are looking for and that you couldn't get from the literature. Or you could perhaps see there's a higher level, bigger research question, and that will define the research topic. So it's a very structured way of getting into your research topic. The question then here is perhaps, what is your broken road? What is it for your research? What's the analogy? Yeah, so as said, this is how you can derive your first research questions. And that do not need to be binding questions that you say, okay, I'm now settling on that, I'm doing that, that is my research. But those are clear entry points, clear, concrete, structured, that can be worked on and through in a very systemic way. Yeah? No excitement needed for that, no innovativeness, just routine work through. Yeah, existing knowledge to work over, own observations, what stakeholders tell you from literature and related studies. Yeah, as in those three cases. Forestry management disconnected from road maintenance management, inner lane covered by shadows and moisture most of the day. Maintenance budget decreases 5% per year over the past decade, that you get from the statistics, while traffic increased 15% annually. So are those parameters connected? This is what your research could be trying to find out, and therefore your topic is policy issues in rural road maintenance. Right? And at the end of your research, you will find out whether or not those 4 factors are connected. It's not that you're working towards a solution, but you want to understand first what is the situation here. And perhaps then your research changes. And very likely it will change as knowledge becomes available. As said at 2 slides or 3 slides earlier, this is just an entry road into your research. But you can see that within a time of a day, you can come to a very focused, structured, logical, evidence-based first research pitch. Something that you might have struggled with for a year before can be done in a day. So, and if you do it once in a day and train it more often, the likelihood is great. You will get the capability of framing research topics quite quickly. And this is one of the learning outcomes of a doctorate, right? Okay. So with this, we go off the record and will provide you with some time to ask questions. And I just wanted to say, don't miss our next webinar, which will be given by Professor Dr. Bastian Gomez-Sek on 18th of February about the conceptual framework versus theoretical framework. And there's a format will be in a round table. So it will be much more discussion based, supposed to be. And with this, let me go off the record and open the floor for discussion and questions if there are any. Stop the recording.